This is apparently sunrise in Jodhpur. I don't think the sun has, in its usual context, arisen yet. I also don't know if that's a pure sheet of pollution at the low dark level versus those illuminated clouds higher up. But you can see the pollution gets right into there. Now if I look down into the street, it looks like it's clean. That's not true. Yesterday I attempted to get to that pinnacle over on the left that you see in the middle of the screen with a little light on it. And since it's very hard to see anything when you're walking because the buildings obscure any distance, I ended up apparently at the far right hand side of that prominence. Somewhere over in that area there where you couldn't even see the fortress. Way in the distance through the smog you can see kinda that palace, and it was a former palace, still is, it's just owned by a hotel mostly now, although the original owner's heir lives there. The pollution is heavy, and here's what you do with your trash. Giant pile of trash in this neighborhood. I'm following a small narrow road, for lack of a better term, that starts right at my house and seems to wrap around the base of the fort. That's where we were at the farthest point in the fort. Family of goats. Right up above me is the fortress. And that may be the temple that I didn't go into. So I got just about as far as that tower there, and then I turned around. And this morning we're basically going to wrap around this into the blue city we saw from the fort, and then wander further on to the northwest to look at the old city walls, and we may end up just walking totally around the fort. This looks like an old haveli. Explore a little bit farther. Here's how you make the stones that will go in some of the buildings, all by hand as it usually is. It's interesting that in the midst of all this degradation, there are still people who try to improve the quality of their lives. So, peeking through there, you can see the fort. So we're on our way around the end of it. I'm starting to see more blue. So this is what we're looking for. Thanks for cows, believe it or not, although now for trash also. Starting to see some blue, so I'm just going to start wandering back into the hood. Old icon greets me. Wait, street. There would have been bananas here, because they're seen in the literature. Also watermelons. What became a way of freshening up a tattered old looking house when the style changed has now become a tradition. Inside here a whole bunch of blue. Once a well, as you can probably figure out for yourself. And here's a cozy guest house. Remember, in other countries where the language is not equally foreign as well as English, a guest house in English says to you that it's probably a real guest house for Americans and Europeans and other travelers, not local Indians. At one time they did a complete job on it. There should be areas that we'll walk into where most of it's blue. There's an old decrepit valley. Here, somewhat recently painted blue. What once was a laudable goal has died off. An intense bit of blue. They restored this enough so that it actually would attract tourists. The old abandoned motorcycle will be here 50 years from now if you come back. Wandered up this little sidewalk, but it's a dead end, serving many houses, but stirred up a pack of dogs that are real heroes. It's interesting that somebody actually had enough initiative to build the steps. Imagine that this is your home. You've lived in these conditions so long, you probably can't even begin to imagine what the property you lived in was like when it was grand. Here, a very nicely maintained property. And there, a temple, it looks like. And back onto a main street. Gets a little dicey walking in those areas with the dogs. They're not used to seeing someone who's obviously foreigner, and they do know the difference. Lots more blue, and that looks like part of the castle. So it's a tan about 90 degrees from the top of the fort area to what looks to be in the farthest extension of the fortress here. It looks like the fort came right down near this, probably a pretty lake at one time, not so bad now, but housed some kind of important building here. Well, my job is to probably figure out how to navigate up through there. Not sure that won't have me blocked by a wall between that edifice on the left and the fortress on the right. Our way up behind that house, a little bit farther on, see if we can get up there. Some more blue. This looks almost recently painted. Climbing up through the swill of this area. And this is the good part. There's some more blue. Folks have done a nice job and painted the colors of the entry, make it even prettier. This is one of the outer walls. I don't know if there's more than one ring of outer walls. There's the fortress in the background. Here we pass through one of the gates and roaming up the hill like the Chinese wall, except that I don't know that you can walk on the top. I don't think you can. It's just a wall. It wasn't meant to transport troops. Notice here how they have finished off the walls to make sure that, I don't know, I guess that water ran freely or something, but I'm sure it was an integral part of the fortress. There is a smaller wall. I don't know if this was part of the fort construction or not. Looks like we can climb up on the wall here. There's a kind of looks like a temple complex. It may not be a temple, just may be a structure, but it is part of the wall. It says visitor center, so it may be just that. So the Blue City, hardly as dramatic and beautiful as those guidebooks would want you to believe. I believe I'm looking up at the castle, almost exactly where you enter on the left. So back to where I came up from below yesterday to go to the fort. Now I'll work my way back to the hospital and end the day. At this moment, I'm not sure how long I will be in India, how much I can handle or want to handle this mind-boggling pollution. I'll move out of here tomorrow to Jodhpur, but my guess is it'll be worse. It's a bigger city.